They climbed the creaking staircase to the second floor. Standing in the middle of a large open space with rotting floorboards and crumbling plaster, Dax rested his hands on his hips, admiring the large arched window that faced the street and flooded the space with light. Converting the cavernous space into apartments would be an enormous task, a challenge Dax was ready for. Uncle Robert kicked at one of the rotting floorboards and grunted. "You're right. It's a big project, but it will be worth it." When his uncle mentioned several months ago that the building was going up for sale, Dax had jumped at the chance to buy it. He'd loved the old brick and stone 3-story building since he was a boy. Next to the courthouse, she was the tallest building in Colton, standing proudly over the rest of the single-story buildings in the town square. Built in the Beaux Arts style, the Barton Building had once served as an office for cotton traders in the early 1900s. The main floor would serve as headquarters for Ellis Technologies. He'd convert the top floor into an apartment for himself and the second floor into 4 apartments, hoping to convince a few of his friends that Colton was a town worth saving and that moving in would be a good investment. His mother would throw a fit when she found out that Dax bought the building and didn't have any intention of moving into the family home, but he didn't care. Sometimes a man just had to follow his heart. Robert Ellis stroked his salt and pepper beard, looking at the building. "She's a beauty, and once you're done with her, she'll be a queen." Dax nodded. The Army had kept him on the move for the last 13 years, and he'd loved every minute of it. But it was time to settle down, and with an agreement to continue as a private contractor, he had the income secured not just to invest in the Barton Building, but the town as well. "It's time to rebuild this town after everything I tried to do to destroy it." He peered out of one of the windows, looking down at the deserted street below, thankful there weren't many people around. He wasn't ready. Not yet. Uncle Robert interrupted his musings. "You're going to need help." "My buddy Jacob Winters is coming down just as soon as he gets his discharge papers." Uncle Robert put his hand on his shoulder. "How do you feel about ending your career with the Army?" "It was time," Dax said with a shrug. "It will be weird being on my own, but I'm hoping there will be opportunity for some of the guys here. Jacob wants to set up a contracting business when he's done. He'll be able to look for other jobs while he helps me rehab this place." Jacob was ready for the change and a new challenge just like he was. Uncle Robert scratched his beard, looking at him thoughtfully. "The librarian needs some help opening a bookstore," he offered. "Since when do you start hanging out at the library?" Dax asked, picturing his uncle flirting with a gray-haired lady. Dax raised his eyebrows, and his uncle said, "Don't look at me like that, boy. I know how to read." Dax laughed and clapped him on the shoulder, surprised to find solid muscle beneath his hand despite his uncle's age. His uncle would never admit it, but he was slowing down just a little bit. Dax wanted to be around to help him and repay him for all of the kindness and guidance he'd given him when he needed it. But if there was a sweet, older librarian in the picture, he'd happily share the duty with her. "I've got to get back to the cabin, but you should go over and talk to her." Dax noticed the twinkle in his uncle's eye. "What's the big deal with the library?" Robert gave Dax a strange look. "You might want to ask the librarian." He winked. With that, Robert tipped his cap and climbed into his truck. "Remember who you are." "Not who you were," were his parting words through his open window as the soulful notes of Coltrane filled the cab of the truck. Dax watched his uncle drive away. What was that about? He turned, taking a closer look at the little library. The colorful display in the window stood out from the papered-over storefronts on the rest of the block, piquing Dax's curiosity. Opened in the 60s by Richard Colton, the Colton Public Library was Richard's pride and joy. Colton, Mississippi started out as the Colton Plantation, the town growing out of the rubble of the Civil War. 2 families dominated the town.